The question, how many angels can dance on the head of a pin, has been used many times as a dismissal of medieval angelology in particular, and of scholasticism in general. The phrase has been used also to criticize figures such as Duns Scotus and Thomas Aquinas, who explored the intersection between the philosophical aspects of space and the qualities attributed to angels. Another variety of the question is, how many angels can stand on the point of a pin? Scholasticism used these kind of questions in dialectical reasoning to extend knowledge by inference, and to resolve contradictions. The need for rationality as complementary to faith was raised as an important point for Catholic theology at the Council of Trent. The question has also been linked to the fall of Constantinople, with the imagery of scholars debating about minutiae while the Turkish besieged the city. In modern usage, it therefore has been used as a metaphor for wasting time debating topics of no practical value, or questions whose answers hold no intellectual consequence, while more urgent concerns pile up. Origin. The fact that certain renowned medieval scholars considered similar questions is clear. Aquinas' Summa Theologica, written c. 1270, includes discussion of several questions regarding angels such as, can several angels be in the same place? However, the idea that such questions had a prominent place in medieval scholarship has been debated, and it has not been proved that this particular question was ever disputed. One theory is that it is an early modern fabrication, as used to discredit scholastic philosophy at a time when it still played a significant role in university education. James Franklin has raised the scholarly issue, and mentions that there is a 17th-century reference in William Chillingworth's Religion of Protestants, where he accuses unnamed scholastics of debating whether 1,000,000 of angels may not fit upon a needle's point. Quote, "This is earlier than a reference in the 1678 The True Intellectual System of the Universe by Ralph Cudworth. H. S. Lang, author of Aristotle's Physics and its Medieval Varieties, says, the question of how many angels can dance on the point of a needle or the head of a pin is often attributed to late medieval writers. In point of fact, the question has never been found in this form. Peter Harrison has suggested that the first reference to angels dancing on a needle's point occurs in an expository work by the English divine, William Sclater, in an exposition with notes VPON the First Epistle to the Thessalonians. Sclater claimed that scholastic philosophers occupied themselves with such pointless questions as whether angels did occupy a place, and so, whether many might be in one place at one time, and how many might sit on a needle's point, and 600 such like needless points. Harrison proposes that the reason an English writer first introduced the needle's point into a critique of medieval angelology is that it makes for a clever pun on needless point. Philosopher George MacDonald Ross has identified a close parallel in a 14th-century mystical text, the Scholasticism. Other possibilities of that it is a surviving parody, a self-parody, or a training topic in debating. In Spanish and Portuguese, the conundrum of useless scholarly debates is linked to a similar question of whether or not angels are genderless. Suggested answers. Dorothy L. Sayers argued that the question was simply a debating exercise, and that the answer, usually adjudged correct, was stated as, angels are pure intelligences, not material, but limited, so that they have location in space but not extension. Sayers compares the question to that of how many people's thoughts can be concentrated upon a particular pin at the same time. She concludes that infinitely many angels can be located on the head of a pin, since they do not occupy any space there. The practical lesson to be drawn from the argument is not to use words like there in a loose, unscientific way, without specifying whether you mean located there or occupying space there. Humoristic answers. In the humoristic magazine Annals of Improbable Research, Anders Sandberg has presented a calculation based on theories of information physics and quantum gravity, establishing an upper bound of 8.6766 times 1049 angels. The comic Saturday morning breakfast cereal poses an answer derived from physics to this question, i.e., between 1 and 30 vigintillion angels. In the 7th episode of the 5th season of the science fiction series Babylon 5, the recurring character Byron Gordon, in a conversation about a rebellion among human telepaths against a despotic government, both asked and answered the question with a confident but cryptic, as many as 1 to 2, thus suggesting the specific number of angels is irrelevant. It is the existence of angels that is important. In the satirical novel Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, the angel Azrael is said to be the only angel who could dance on the head of a pin, as he learned the gavotte in the 19th century. Also in Carpe Jugulum by Terry Pratchett, Granny Weatherwax says the answer is 16 if it's an ordinary house pin. In other contexts, comparing medieval superstition and modern science, George Bernard Shaw wrote in the introduction to the play St. Joan that the medieval doctors of divinity who did not pretend to settle how many angels could dance on the point of a needle cut a very poor figure as far as romantic credulity is concerned, beside the modern physicists who have settled to the billionth of a millimeter every movement and position in the dance of the electrons.